Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have some pretty big things where Sony now is doubling down and making this whole Helldivers situation a whole lot worse. Now, as you guys probably have maybe been seeing on these videos these past few days, and I kind of did think this was going to turn into a bigger issue than expected, and so far, kind of actually has. I think there's a little bit of like people being like, hey, it's like not the biggest deal, but at this point, it's becoming a very big deal. Where right now, Sony, due to like the restrictions in terms of their PlayStation accounts, are now actively removing pretty much making it where people cannot play the Helldivers game, whether they already bought the game or as well completely removing it off of other various like basically countries where you cannot even physically buy the game on Steam anymore. And this is kind of rough because there was a lot of goodwill that was built up in the game, and I could always once again kind of the really quick backtrack a little bit is that I can go and say like just adding the PlayStation thing itself isn't the biggest deal. That's totally fine, but I think how they've been handling it, how the community reception has been, and just the fact that at this point now people are literally not able to play the game that they bought very actively is leading to a big issue. So we're going to go talk about these big changes right now and what happened as of today. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We're still celebrating for our 10-year partner anniversary on Twitch, so definitely go check that out. Link down below, and of course on the Twitter too. And give me your thoughts and comments on everything down below. So let's just go and get right into it. Sony right now, so if you guys have missed it, basically Sony added a requirement to have a PlayStation account linked to your PC account to go and play Helldivers. But as well, they also did like a pretty somewhat substantial change where they had a wording on their like FAQ where it's like, hey, most games don't require this, it's optional type vibes, into some games may require this. So as this ongoing controversy has been happening, that's kind of been like that big middle ground. And that's where things got weird because we're now kind of seeing Sony completely change up their policies and shifting their FAQs, kind of on the low, hoping that people don't notice it. But now, due to the fact that Sony is kind of more in control of this and basically making people have to go and have their PlayStation accounts, that means that some countries that Sony does not do any work with means that they cannot even play the game they either bought or buy it now. So it's due to like legalities or restrictions, or if just Sony doesn't operate in a certain country for whatever reason. That means that anyone who has now bought Helldivers on Steam is now not able to either play their game or access their game or even make a PlayStation account to enjoy the game. Now, we kind of knew about this and it was kind of popping up drama-wise as of yesterday, but right now it seems that Helldivers 2 has been basically removed from 177 countries and territories that cannot actually access the PlayStation Network. And even while we're having the CEO saying, hey, I don't have the final say. Like, I might make another quick video because I mainly want to be focused on Twitch as of today. So swing by, like I said, if you guys want. But basically this one, we're now seeing drama even with the CEO, how they kind of lost control of the company due to the fact that Sony is the publisher, which kind of makes sense, but also kind of once again opens up the weird trajectory of indie games and self-published games wouldn't have to deal with this. And as well, there's some big controversy now with Steam even allowing this to be sold in the first place. We're now seeing people trying to get refunds on the game. Like, it's all over the place. It's a mess. And as of right now, there's over 200,000 negative Steam reviews and counting now from this. And this was a really beloved game. Like, I think the community goodwill has been destroyed. So that's kind of like the rough thing. We'll do a bit more of a deep dive into it in a second. But I also want to show people, because people are curious, on if the player base was affected a lot. And in all honesty, I'd probably go and say not necessarily the craziest change up. Like, let's give it a 1 month. We are seeing like a little bit of a downward spiral, I would go and say. It was only in the past few days is when this kind of happened, but it was also on a somewhat downward trajectory either way. Just in the fact of like, the game gets a bit older over time. There's been a big update. People are patiently waiting for the, the upcoming like race if that actually doesn't happen. So we'll mostly want to look at these statistics maybe in a few more weeks, but it's looking like it actually might go break down under 100,000. But this is also kind of just following the usual game trajectory of like game gets really hyped up and people are excited and it kind of tapers off over time. Although this one doesn't really have like a big bouncer back. You see this, it kind of looks like it's going more straight down. And I do kind of think it'll probably break over 100K. Because also don't forget, like, people who may have wanted to check out the game, because this game was still definitely getting new people buying it and playing it and joining it, although maybe at a lower ratio. With all this bad will and people maybe not even saying, like, hey, I'm done, like I did enough in my game, they might just be gonzo at the end of the day. But as you can probably go and see, Sony's removed Helldivers 2 from my country. Can't play or nothing. Great job, Sony. Take a dump on one of your best games you've published. And this is also them giving, hey, here is the proof to as well. And this is crazy because this is actually now, look at this, now turned overwhelmingly negative all reviews in total. So like this is recent, all like overwhelmingly negative, so it's bad. So someone like just joins like the game on Steam, they're gonna see that and be like, what's going on here? And then all the reviews are total and mixed, which is horrible too as well. This is really hard to fix. It's all justifiable too as well. But you guys can kind of see too, it says, notice this game only supports Japanese interface and voice for customers in Japan. Basically kind of sitting over here too, where it also turns into some of these as well. Like it's just crazy. Like they just can't do it, you know? And then also some guys saying like, hey, like why is there a buy button in the first place too? And it says it shows it even if you're not logged in. But basically at the end of the day, the game itself is just not available. Like the guy himself literally cannot play the game itself as a whole. Like this is horrible. Like I feel like we feel like really bad. Like it just sucks. Like you literally just cannot play the game itself in the first place. And it's at the same exact time too as well, like apparently all the single player games, if they require the PlayStation Network thing, they may also have some issues long term as well. So basically this is like horrible. Like this situation's gone from like kind of bad to maybe salvageable to the point where this is like whole on community just hating this. So basically Helldivers 2 in theory was supposed to always require the players to sign into the PlayStation Network, but due to it not being required at launch due to the server issues, then people just didn't expect it or cared, which I understand. Like, I don't have an issue with the 2 minutes of it, but I do think the principles of it, they were allowing it for a while. People kind of felt like a sleight of hand. This was kind of thrown into them. It does also build up Sony infrastructure for like shareholders, etc. But I do think the bigger issue is that there are some people who literally own the game and they cannot play the game due to regional issues or whatever it might be. That's a big issue and a big deal. While merely an admittedly obvious inconvenience for most players, PC users in countries not covered by PSN will be locked out entirely. So this simple fact seems to have taken over Sony by surprise, with the FAQ from the publisher and the Helldivers 2 Discord seeming to direct players to set their PSN account to a country other than the one they live. So they're basically just trying to say, like, they're basically trying to go and encourage people, if you still want to play the game, go and put it like you live in America, Canada, you know, Australia, whatever it might be, that should be legally fine. And these are even the developers saying that. They're literally going and addressing these issues, and they're saying that. And they're also saying this has been a big issue with Sony as well, where Sony themselves, like, this is their problem. Like, the developers are blaming them and saying that they're making these final decisions, and this is the final call. So it's shared by SteamDB in their morning. Helldivers 2 has been removed from it on sale from over 177 countries and territories. Japan also seems to be on the list as an outlier for some odd reason, which I showed you guys a second ago, with the game being replaced by a different version in the country, seemingly due to localization reasons. The rest, though, are all region not eligible for PSN access, with this move seemingly in preparation for the worst case scenario of a rollout where players who can't sign up for PlayStation Network are just simply out of luck. And the bigger issue too with this, because it may not be affecting us, but everyone as a whole, that means that some people may have bought in the game, played the game, progressed in the game, or bought it to play with their friends, or happen to play with their friends, and now they're just not able to even deal with it at all. A Steam review riot against the move continues unabated, which I think is rightfully so. Like, people are not happy with this Helldiver situation. And in some cases, it could be a very chill, like, I understand, like, it takes like 2 minutes to go make an account. I myself don't mind that. But I do think the bigger picture of kind of insulting the PC community, insulting people who may, like, at the end of the day, like, Steam and all them should not have even allowed this game to be sold in these other various regions. That was a big mishap on both Sony and Steam. No matter what you guys say about it, if there's gonna be refund windows and issues too as well, it's been rough. But we also have been seeing this. I may make another quick video on this as well, but we have also been seeing that some people are able to even get a refund for the game even after the 2-hour window, although that might just be depending on who, where, what, and why. But it's crazy because this is just like turned into a basically the Escape from Tarkov situation where people are just, they feel sighted. Like, that's, I think, the bigger issue. People are upset about this. They're hurt about this. I understand it's not the biggest issue or the biggest deal. Like, I 100% understand that. But it's more about sometimes the principles. And I always try to go push that a lot on my channel. Sometimes the ethics and the principles, or it's already been good for 3 months on PC. Like, just let it ride. You know, you don't have to min-max everything. You're making money on the game. There's microtransactions and battle passes. Like, make the player base happy. And you may not get the perfect game experience to link with PlayStation or whatever it might be. But sometimes as a company, just, like, just accept the goodwill and just be like, hey, like we're happy the game is good. Like you don't have to min-max everything. I think that's what people are kind of complaining about because a lot of people don't trust Sony. They've had data breaches. They're PC players. They don't have a PlayStation account. I myself trust PlayStation. I don't mind it. But at the end of the day, if people feel cited, which they do, they're going to go and complain about the fact that they're feeling cited. And the fact that some people literally cannot even do and play the game anymore, that's a mess up on Steam. That's a mess up on Sony. And I'm like, that's a big disappointment. And I understand why people are going to be upset about this. And we'll have to see this also reflects out the actual viewership and gameplay for this. Because Twitch right now is rough. Like 2,000 viewers on Twitch is not that much. And at the same exact time, it looks like the player base is also falling off a cliff. So go stream by Twitch today if you guys want to. I appreciate you guys all so much for watching. And that's about it. Thank you guys. I love you guys. Bye.